Well, welcome to the training on the science of DISC. And it's my belief that a million business people woke up this morning feeling stuck and not knowing what to do next. And the three biggest problems that get in our way are fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs. And when we make the shift to the 100x DNA mindset, we start to overcome those fears. We break through those doubts and we eliminate those limiting beliefs. And what we're left with is we're left with three choices. The ability to live life on our terms. We have the ability to become impactful leaders, and we also get the opportunity to leave a legacy. Now, living life on your terms is about getting clarity. It's about knowing exactly what you want in the four most important areas, which include your career, relationships, health, and finances. And leadership is the ability to influence and lead others to become their best. Leadership is also how you choose to lead your own life. So let me ask you, who's the hardest person to lead? Who's the hardest person to lead? Ourself. It's hardest to lead ourself, but once we can do that, we start to become a strategic leader, and then we can lead other people. And the people that we really want to lead are our customers. So once we know how to lead ourselves, then we can lead our family, our friends, our customers, and our colleagues. And thirdly is leaving a legacy. Leaving a legacy is our gift of contribution to others. It's that desire to make an impact and leave the world a better place. And this is where we find our purpose. This is where we find our passion. And this is where we get our personal power. And for the majority of us who are working and who are serious professionals, we are going to spend somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 hours every year working in our career. So our careers give us this ability to make a significant impact on the planet. And we can do that through the products and services that we're providing for the marketplace. And once you understand your legacy, your motivation increases, your desire increases, and you start to get that fire in your belly every day where you want to take action, because everything that you do gets you another step closer to living and leaving that legacy. And what we end up with is we end up with confidence and security. Every day, once we master this, we wake up feeling confident and financially secure. So give me a wave. Do you want more confidence? Would more confidence help you make more sales? If you make more sales, will you have more financial security? Be able to pay the bills, get out of debt, and create a legacy for generations to come. So this is the 100x DNA mindset, and we're going to learn about this today. Now, in today's training, we're going to learn about emotional intelligence. We're going to learn about emotional intelligence, and we're also going to learn about our DISC styles. So give me a wave. Have you heard of emotional intelligence before? Have you heard about emotional intelligence? Excellent. Have you heard of DISC? Well, if you haven't, this is going to be very exciting because we're going to start to understand human psychology. We're going to understand how people think. We're going to understand how people feel and how they act. And once we know how they think, then we can influence and persuade them. We can change the way they feel about us or our product and service. And once we do that, we can then persuade them to take action on our offer. So in this human psychology, we're going to learn how people think, feel, and act. You're also going to learn how you think, feel, and act. And what will happen is once you increase that level of self-awareness, you'll be able to regulate your emotions. Once you regulate your emotions, then you start to feel more motivated every day. And it's the motivation that leads to the action. So we're going to explore these two today. Now, there's a very popular word around the world today, and it's called coaching. Who here has had a coach before? Have you ever hired a coach before? Have you had a mentor? Have you had a teacher? Have you had a trainer? Well, we call this coaching. And it's, in my opinion, that we all need coaching. And inside of any business, there's 6 people who need coaching. So let's take a look at the screen. What you can see on the screen here is what we call the performance curve. And there's 6 different types of performers. We have new performers. We have developing performers. We have high performers. We have plateaued performers. We have declining performers. And we also have poor performers. So maybe you're a new performer. Maybe you're new into the business. Maybe you're new to selling this type of product and service. So if you're a new performer, go to the chat box and type in new performer, because the type of coaching that you need is going to be different from everybody else. Or maybe you're a developing performer. Maybe you've been in the industry for a couple of months or a couple of years. Maybe you're already starting to make sales. Maybe you're already banking commission checks, and you're already getting a taste for the job. And now you want to get better. So if you're a developing performer, go to the chat box and type in developing performer. Or maybe you're already a high performer. Maybe you are at the top of your team. You're making the most amount of sales. You're making the most amount of income, but now you've hit a glass ceiling. You're already doing the best you can, and now you want to get to the next level. You can see the next level, but you just don't know how to get there. Are you a high performer? If you're a high performer, type in high performer into the chat box. Or maybe you're a plateaued performer. You've been in the industry. You've had a lot of success in the past, but now your sales are declining. Your sales are dropping. You're presenting, but you're not closing as much as you'd like. You're selling, but you're not earning as much as you like. And you feel that your performance has dropped. Anybody feel like that? You were great in the past, but the economy has changed. COVID's come along, the world's changed. There's more competition, and now your performance has dropped. If that's you, type in plateaued performer. Or maybe you're a declining performer. Maybe your sales are dropping dramatically. Your income is dropping dramatically. You're not getting the leads that you used to get. The customers aren't referring as much as they used to. And maybe you can see these paychecks going down, down, down. Are you feeling like that? Well, if you are, this training is going to help you also. Or perhaps you're a poor performer. Everything you try seems to fail. Every customer you speak to just seems to reject you. Every offer you get from the customer, they say it's too expensive. I can't afford it. I'm not in the market right now. Have you heard those before? Maybe you feel like you're a poor performer. Ethan, developing performer. Excellent. Maybe you feel like you're a poor performer and what you're doing just doesn't work. And now you're starting to lose the love for the job. You're starting to lose the love for the sale and the product. Maybe you've fallen out of love with the customer and you feel that your results have just dropped. So this is the performance curve, and these are the 6 areas that we can focus on. So Ethan, you're a developing performer. Excellent. What I want to do is I want to hear from you what that means. So for you as a developing performer, where are you starting from and where do you want to get to in your business? So big team and now new business, and you want to take it to that next level.
Yes.
Excellent.
Right.
Wonderful. Well, this training today is going to help you because after you're a developing performer, then you start to get up to high performance. And what we know is with the DISC technology that we're going to use today, you can learn more about yourself in 10 minutes than you could possibly learn in a whole year of self-discovery. So I'm going to show you how we're going to get there. Let me introduce you to emotional intelligence. Now, Harvard University recently said that emotional intelligence, EQ, is more important than IQ. So in sales today, salespeople who have a higher level of emotional intelligence actually earn more money. And statistically, for every 1 point improvement in your emotional intelligence, you'll see a $1,750 improvement in your paycheck. Now, the good thing about emotional intelligence is that you can improve your emotional intelligence, where your IQ, your intelligence quotient, is fixed. At age 15, you measure your IQ, and it remains fixed for your entire life. But with emotional intelligence, and today's training is all based in emotional intelligence, you can learn to rapidly increase your emotional intelligence. And the more emotionally intelligent you are, the more sales that you make. So, welcome to emotional intelligence. We've discovered what's called the emotional equation. And what it says is that one negative emotion can impact your performance for up to 4 hours. And for you to be able to cancel out that negative emotion, you've got to be able to replace it with 5 positive emotions. And then every event after that acts like a multiplier. So let me give you an example. One of my customers is in sales, and he was asleep and he didn't hear his alarm clock. So he overslept. Now, he slept until 9 o'clock, but his team was having a sales meeting at 9:30. So he woke up in a state of panic. He woke up feeling anxious. He hopped in his car, he drove to the office, and he was speeding. He sped through a red light camera. He went through a speed trap and he got fined twice on the way to work. Finally, he got to work an hour late and he was locked out of the meeting. So now he's angry and he's disappointed with himself and he can't think clearly. And remember, one negative emotion impacts your performance for up to 4 hours. But every event after that acts like a multiplier. Now it's already 10:30. He's missed the sales meeting. He goes down to the cafe to get some breakfast. He's eating, but he's not thinking clearly. And he forgets about his 10:30 a.m. sales appointment. Because he didn't show up to his 10:30 a.m. sales appointment, he lost a $10,000 deal. He lost $10,000 that morning because he couldn't think straight. And then for the rest of the day, he was angry, he was disappointed, he was frustrated, all because he couldn't manage his emotions. In one day, he got a speeding fine, a red light fine, and he lost $10,000 worth of business, all because he couldn't manage his emotions. Now, why I share this is because as salespeople, we have to deal with rejection on a daily basis. We hear that horrible word, no. It's too expensive. It's too much. I can get it cheaper from somewhere else. And that impacts our emotions. But if we don't have the emotional intelligence to manage our emotions, our motivation starts to drop. It starts to drop. It starts to drop. It starts to drop to the point that we lack motivation. We don't want to check our emails. We don't want to send emails. We don't want to do follow-up calls. Has that happened to you before, Ethan? The motivation drops because of the disappointments. It happens to all salespeople. So the salespeople who do the best are those ones who can manage their emotions. And if you can get out of that rut really quickly, then what happens is you get your motivation back. You're more willing to take action and do the right things to hit your sales targets. So let's have a look. There's 4 pillars of emotional intelligence. The first pillar is self-recognition. And self-recognition is about understanding who I am and why I think and feel the way that I do. Now, self-recognition includes self-understanding. It includes confidence, and it also includes motivation. So when we go through your DISC reports today, you're going to really understand yourself. You're going to understand how you think, how you feel, and how you act. As a result of understanding who you are, your confidence levels increase. And the higher your levels of confidence, the more motivation you'll have. So self-recognition is the first pillar of emotional intelligence. Once we understand how we think and feel the way that we do, we have greater levels of self-understanding. Self-understanding helps us improve our confidence. And I think we could all agree that confidence in selling is a good thing. The more confident we are, the more motivation we have. And it's that motivation that we need to pick up the phone, to call back our customers, to present, to ask for referrals. And so through DISC, we're going to understand who we are. The second pillar of emotional intelligence is self-management. And this is the ability to get out of any mental or emotional rut that you find yourself in. So if you're a poor performer, if you're a plateaued performer, if you're a declining performer, and you don't feel like taking action anymore, you look at the telephone and you don't want to pick it up, if you look at your emails and you don't want to write an email, then this is going to really help you out. Self-management includes self-control. Self-control is really about discipline. It's picking up the phone when you don't want to. It's calling on customers when you don't feel like it. It's doing those things that's necessary for you to succeed in sales. Self-management also includes positive psychology. And I think we could all agree, there's so much negativity in the world right now. Donald Trump's the first president in the United States who's ever been arrested. Their economy is going down. The economy in Australia is dropping. The economy here in Asia is dropping. There's more competitors in the marketplace. And what we can be bombarded with is a lot of negativity. And I think a lot of people's conversations are negative. But as salespeople, as business builders, we have to focus on positive psychology. We have to keep ourselves motivated because we know the Chinese character. What was it, Nini? You got to say this in Chinese for me. Because in every crisis, there's also opportunity. What's that word, Nini? How do we say it in Chinese?
Which one?
Crisis. Because in every crisis, there's also opportunity.
危机就是转机. Yes.
So this is positive psychology. We have to see the crisis for what it is. We can't get sucked down into it. We've got to rise above it. And that's where the positive psychology is so important. The third pillar of emotional intelligence is self-recognition. And this is the ability to read other people's mental and emotional makeup. Now, this is really important for people like you, for salespeople, for business builders. What we say is, without empathy, there can be no sales. And empathy is about looking at your customer. It's about understanding why they think the way they do, why they feel the way they do, why they act in certain ways. And today, you have to be a sales psychologist. When you're in front of your customer, you've got to understand their psychology. It doesn't matter how you think and feel. When it comes to selling, it's all about how my customer thinks and feels. And if I can understand the thoughts that go through their mind and how that makes them feel, then I can be more influential. I can be more persuasive. And what we know is the world's top salespeople have high levels of empathy. So DISC is going to help us increase our levels of empathy. It'll also help us improve our holistic communication. Because one of the things that I learned many years ago is that selling is just successful communication. Selling is successful communication. And you've got to be able to convince your customer to change their thoughts. You've got to convince through your words to get your customer to change their feelings. And when you change their thoughts and their feelings, they're more likely to say yes to you and your opportunity. But we have to be able to communicate our value. We're going to show them how our product and service is better for them. It has better transformations. It's the best solution for their situation. And that requires communication. In addition, we also have to make a connection. We know that if there's no relationship, there's no sales. And for some of us, oftentimes we feel like an introvert. We feel introverted. We feel insecure. We don't really want to get in front of other people, but we have to make connections. And what we say is contact creates contract. People, the more sales you're going to make. So that's social recognition. And then fourthly, the fourth pillar of emotional intelligence is social management. And this is the ability to influence, persuade, and make an impact in other people's lives. Now, social management includes relationships. It includes leadership, and it also includes influence. So today, we sell via relationships. Isn't that true? We build a relationship, a short or a very long-term relationship. And the reason why relationship selling is so important is because relationships reduce the risk. If I don't know you, if I don't like you, if I don't trust you, in my mind, you're going to be high risk. However, if I have a relationship with you, if I see you as my teacher, as my friend, I'm going to start to trust and believe in you. And once we have that relationship, selling becomes really easy. Now, beyond that, it's also about leadership. You have to lead your customers. You have to lead your teams. And it's very important that you are emotionally aware. Now, I was doing some research yesterday, and in America right now, 95% of employees want leaders that are emotionally intelligent. Imagine that. 95% of the working population in America want leaders that are emotionally intelligent. But here's the sad truth. Only 15% of the population are emotionally aware. Isn't that a massive gap? 95% of the population want emotionally intelligent leaders, but only 15% of the population are emotionally aware. So what it means is by learning DISC, you're going to increase your levels of emotional intelligence. You're going to be a type of leader that people want to follow. And once you can lead, then you can influence. And if you want to get to the top of your field, influence is going to be very important. So this is emotional intelligence. And based on the research coming out of Harvard University, it is the biggest predictor of success. It's so important. And there's more than 40 years of research on emotional intelligence. And every sales team on the planet that has high emotionally intelligent people always outperform companies with low emotional intelligence sales teams. As an example, there's a company in New York, they sell accounting services and their sales are 200% higher than their closest competitor. 200% greater sales because when they hire people, they hire them based on emotional intelligence. Secondly, have you ever heard of the company called L'Oreal? They make shampoo. Well, when L'Oreal hires their sales team, they hire them based on emotional intelligence. In the first year of selling, emotionally intelligent salespeople make 98% more sales because they understand how their customers think, feel, and act. They can communicate clearer. They're seen as leaders. They have relationships. So it gives you a competitive edge. So how do we increase our emotional intelligence? Well, we study the science of DISC. So what we first want to do today is we want to understand your DISC style. And as you understand your DISC style, you're going to better understand other people to the stage where you're going to be able to walk into any room, lead any team, and very importantly, sell to anybody. And that's what I want for you today. So welcome to the science of DISC. DISC, the research has been going back for thousands of years. Today we call it DISC. In the past we called it many other things. But there's research going into this field going back more than 2,000 years. This is human psychology. And as salespeople today, you have to become a sales psychologist. And the more you understand yourself, the easier it is to understand others. And when you understand others, people start to buy from you, and they start to buy from you really quickly. Because what's more important than the sale is the relationship. So you're becoming a sales psychologist. You're becoming a relationship expert. So let's have a look into this. Now, studies have shown that some people can be described as being decisive, competitive, or daring. Other people can be described as being direct, innovative, persistent, adventurous, problem solver, or results oriented. Now, when you look at those words, do any of those words describe you? If any of those words describe you, I want you to type them up into the chat box. Now, if there's any of those words, let me know, but I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine how this person would walk, how this person would talk. Somebody who's decisive, competitive, daring, innovative. How would they walk? How would they talk? What would their office look like? What type of strengths would they bring to your team? So Nini says, adventurous. Excellent. Wonderful. Now, studies have also shown that people can be described like this. Other people can be described as charming, as confident, as convincing. Do any of those words best describe you? Other people can be described as enthusiastic, inspiring, optimistic, persuasive, sociable, and trusting. Now, if any of those words describe you, I want you to go to the chat box. And as you have a look at those words, just begin to think, how would this person walk? This person who's charming and confident. How would this person who's convincing, enthusiastic, and inspiring, how would they talk? What would their office look like? So if any of those words describe you, let me know in the chat box. Okay, Nini says, optimistic. Wonderful. Now, studies have also shown that other people can be described as understanding, friendly, and good listeners. They can be described as patient, relaxed, and sincere, stable, steady, and team players. Now, do any of those words best describe you? And if any of those words describe you, let me know in the chat box. Now, I want you to think about this. A person who's understanding and friendly and a good listener, what would they talk like? How would they act? What type of strengths would they bring to your team? Okay, Nini says understanding. Excellent. Now, other people can be described as accurate, precise, analytical. They can be described as compliant, diplomatic, detailed. They can be described as fact finders and even objective. Now, do any of these words best describe you? Go to the chat box, type in one of the words that describe you. And as you think about these words, what would this person look like? Somebody who's accurate, precise, and analytical. What type of conversations would they have? This person who's compliant and courteous and diplomatic. What type of strengths would they bring to your team? That person who's detailed, a fact finder, and objective. Okay, Nini says diplomatic. Excellent. So what you can see here is that people can be described in many different ways. It also means that your customers are going to come to you with very different personalities. And we have to be able to quickly identify these personalities. Because when we identify those personalities, we can quickly build relationships and make sales. And it's the relationship that is so important, because the relationship reduces the risk. And if there's a risk, there's no sale. If you can remove the risk, then you can sell as much as you want when you want. So that's the big benefit. Now, when we have a look at some famous faces, people like Gordon Ramsay, they can be described as driven, ambitious, and strong-willed. And I believe you have people on your team who are like that. I also believe that you're going to serve customers who are driven, ambitious, and strong-willed. And how you sell to them is very different to how you sell to everybody else. You're going to meet customers who are like Angelina Jolie. They come across as enthusiastic, warm, and persuasive. And how you sell to people like Angelina Jolie is very different to how you would sell to somebody like Gordon Ramsay. In addition, you're going to serve customers who are like Brad Pitt. They're loyal, they're relaxed, they're passive, and they're also very patient. I also believe that you're going to have team members who are like Brad Pitt, loyal, relaxed, passive, and patient. You're also going to find clients like Martha Stewart. The Martha Stewart style customer is very detail oriented. They're very conventional and they're exacting. And how you sell to a Martha Stewart is very different to how you would sell to a Brad Pitt. It's very different to how you would sell to Angelina Jolie. And it's very different to how you would sell to Gordon Ramsay. And you're going to find people like this in the marketplace every single day. So what does that mean? It means we have to be able to be flexible. We have to be able to sell to many different people. It's very easy, would you agree? Would you agree it's very easy to sell to people who are like us? But it's very hard to sell to people who are not like us. I can sell to all the Daniels, but what if I can't sell to people like Ninny? I can sell to people like Daniel, but what if I can't sell to people like Ethan? What's going to happen to my sales? Are they going to go up? Or are they going to go down? They're going to go down. So what we have to learn to do is we have to learn to sell to people who are not like us. And would you agree that the people who are not like us are often the ones who we find it the hardest to sell to? Yes. So imagine this. Imagine being able to walk into any room, lead any team, and sell to anybody. Would that superpower change your life? If you could walk into any room, lead any team, and sell to anybody, would that change your life? Well, I believe it will. Now, the DISC report does not measure your intelligence. It doesn't measure your competency skills. It doesn't measure your commitment to change. The DISC assessment measures your needs. It measures your emotions. It measures your fears. It's very simple. It's practical. It's easy to remember. And it's a universally applicable model. Now, what that means is that it works here in Taiwan. It works in Australia. It works in Vietnam. It works in Korea. It works in Japan. It works in China. It works in Malaysia. It works in Indonesia. It works in Singapore. It works everywhere in the world because it's based on behavioral psychology. Now, the benefit of DISC is this, is that DISC is a tool that focuses on behaviors, and it measures the intensity using scales of directness and openness. DISC gives us a system that can pinpoint our personal strengths. DISC also gives us a strategy to diagnose our possible limitations. Now, there's more benefits to DISC, specifically in business, specifically in selling. Once you understand DISC, it's much easier to gain commitment and cooperation from a customer. And the reason why it's easier is because you understand their behavioral psychology. In addition, DISC gives us a system to build effective teams. Now, here's the truth. Most teams never reach high performance. Most teams never reach high performance because they've never been trained in behavioral psychology. Now, in a group, in a team, we have what's called dynamics. And there's 4 stages to group dynamics. All teams come together, and it's called the forming stage. After a team forms, they go into a storming stage, and this is where they argue. They have conflicts. The 3rd stage is norming. Now, once they overcome the conflicts, they just produce normal results. But normal results don't build an outstanding business. Any company can produce normal results. And what we know is that the majority of teams, the majority of companies never reach high performance. They never reach high performance because they don't understand behavioral psychology. So once you apply this within your team, you build an effective team. You start to build a high-performing team. Thirdly, DISC also gives us a strategy to gain endorsement. Endorsement equals sales. I want you to remember that. Endorsement equals sales. If there's no endorsement, there's no sales. When you gain the endorsement from the customer, then you win the sales. And this is going to help you win a lot of sales. So as we go through the next section, what I want you to do is I want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because I want you to start to understand who you are. And as you start to understand who you are, you can start to understand how other people are different, to the point where you can walk into any room, lead any team, and sell to anybody. So are you ready to go? Let's have a look at the 4 styles. The first of the 4 DISC styles is called dominance. And this is how you approach problems and challenges. The second style is influence. It's how you approach people and contacts. The third style is steadiness. And this is how you manage pace and consistency. And the 4th DISC style is conscientiousness. And this is how you approach procedure and constraints. And I think we could all agree that you face problems and challenges in your market. Would that be fair to say? You've got competition. You've got people who are willing to do it cheaper than you, and you've got to overcome problems and challenges. You've also got to be able to influence people and contacts, because people are going to buy from you, aren't they? And then you want the referral. So you've got to learn how to become more influential. You also have to manage the pace and the consistency of the environment. For some of you, you move at a really slow pace, where others move at a really fast pace. And sometimes the people who move at a fast pace make a lot of mistakes. But the people who move at a very slow pace, they miss a lot of opportunities, don't they? So we've got to understand how we deal with the pace. We've also got to understand how we follow procedures and constraints, because I think there's been so many people, we know them, they're very good at making the sale, but they're very bad with the paperwork. They're very good out there having conversations, but when it comes to following the paperwork and getting the deal across the line, oftentimes they're not good with paperwork. Would that be fair to say? And this is a challenge in sales, because sometimes you've got to be great with people, but if you're great with people, you might not be good with following a system. Or maybe you're really good with the system, but you're not all that good with people, and you lack the confidence. So DISC and understanding DISC is going to help you understand both your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay, now this is where I want you to interact. Let me know, do you feel that you're somebody who is more guarded or more open? If I was going to meet you for the very first time, would you be guarded and not tell me much about yourself? Or would you be open and tell me everything about you? Are you more guarded or are you more open? Ethan says guarded. Is that correct, Eden? If you sound more guarded, point to the top. Guarded. Excellent. Good. And this is going to be true for our customers as well, isn't it? Sometimes you meet a customer and say, hello, sir, how are you today? Not going to tell you how my day is. Hey, sir, how's business? Not going to tell you how my business is. Hey, sir, how's your family? Not going to say a word about my family. You got to guess everything. Have you met people like this before in selling? Absolutely. But then you meet other people and you say, hello, sir, how are you? And they say, I'm fantastic. And all of a sudden they tell you their whole life story. Well, let me tell you where I grew up. Let me tell you where I went to school. Let me tell you I got married for the first and the second and the third time. And then after 3 hours, they're still talking. And you've only asked them one question. Have you met people like this before? Absolutely. So some of us are more guarded. Others are more open. Some people tend to be more direct and some people are more indirect. So how would you describe yourself? Would you describe yourself as somebody who's very direct and to the point? Or are you more indirect and you never say what you really want to say? Do you feel you're more direct or do you feel that you're more indirect? Now, a direct person sounds like this. Knock, knock, knock. Hello, sir. I'm from X insurance company and I'm here to sell you some insurance today. That's what a direct salesperson sounds like. But the indirect salesperson rings the doorbell, ding, ding. Oh, hello, sir. Do you live here? And how long have you been living here for? And have you ever used insurance before? And how was your experience? Are you with me so far? Some people are very direct, where some people are very indirect. So how would you describe yourself? Go to the chat box. Let me know, are you direct or are you indirect? Which one are you, Ethan? Direct or indirect? Which one best describes you?
Depend on the situation.
Ah, very good. Okay. In business, more direct or more indirect?
More direct.
Okay. And at home, more direct or more indirect?
Direct.
Ah, very good. Very good. Now, next is our pace. And I want to ask you, Ethan, do you move at a fast pace or do you move at a slow pace? How would you describe your pace? Are you somebody who starts really quickly and go, 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 go? Or are you somebody who starts slow and takes a long time to get going? How would you describe your pace, fast or slow?
I think slower.
Slower pace. Excellent.
Yes.
And we're going to meet customers who are slower paced. And if we try to sell to them really fast, they're going to panic. And we're going to have people who are fast paced, but if we're really slow to sell to them, they're going to panic and they'll say, can't you just hurry up? I just want to buy. So we've got to be able to look at people and understand the difference. Now, when it comes to the 4 different styles, this is important in selling. The D style, the dominance, what they want is independence. And they need to know how your product and service can create independence for them. The I style customer wants interaction. They want to be able to have a really good conversation. They want to be able to really talk to you about your product and service. The S style customers, they want stability. They're not risk takers. They hate risk. What they want is they want stability and they want predictability. So you've got to be able to show them how your product and service can help them achieve predictability and stability in their life. If you can show them that, they'll buy immediately. We also have the conscientious style people. They really hate making mistakes. And when you're selling to these people, they know a lot about your product and service. They've read all of your brochures. They've been to your website. They probably know more about your product and service than you do. And they want things to be correct. So when we deal with the C-style person, we have to be very detail oriented. And if we don't have enough information, if we can't answer their questions, they won't buy from us. So all of these 4 styles have different needs. And if we can show them how our product and service can meet their needs or get them another step closer to what they want, then it triggers a buying opportunity. These 4 styles also have different wants. The D style, the dominant style, they want control and variety. So when you're selling to them, don't try to control them. They want to be in control. And if you let them feel like they're in control, they'll buy from you. We also have the I style. They want approval and they want less structure. The I style person wants to talk to you about you. They want to get to know you. They don't want to hear about all the science. They don't want to hear all about all the background or the technical jargon of your product and service. They want to get to know you as an individual. If you give them too much information, if you give them too much data, too much research, their brain will fry and they won't buy because they're social beings. They want to have a friendship with you. Also, the S style. These people want routine. They want harmony. So you've got to show them when they buy from you that your product and service is not going to interrupt their life. It's not going to change their routine, because one of their biggest fears is losing their routine, losing their stability. If they have to buy from you, but they have to have a whole lifestyle change, it's too much of a risk for them. We also have the C style people. They have standards and logic. And so when we're selling to them, we have to show how our product and service meets country and company regulations. It has to be a very logical sales process. They don't care about emotion. They want logic. And if you can show them how this makes sense and it's better for them, then they'll buy from you. But they don't want a friendship. They don't want you to talk to them. They want a very logical sales process. Now, there's a couple of fears. The D style fears losing. So what you've got to be able to do is present to them in a way that shows them how they can avoid loss by using your product and service. The I style hates rejection. If they feel that you are judging them, if they feel that you are criticizing what they're doing right now, they'll say no. The S style person, they really fear sudden change. And when you're selling to the S style person, it's not a fast sale. It's not a fast sale. It's a very slow sale. And you've got to change the way that you sell to this person. Because when you slow down your sales process, they'll actually buy faster if you slow down. If you try to push, if you try to rush, if you try to incentivize them to take action right now, they'll say no. They do things very slowly, and we've got to respect that in the sales process. Also, the C style has a fear of being wrong. Now, what's interesting is this. The C style will say to you, could you share some more information? Could you give me some research? Could you give me some data? Could you give me some case history? Now, when a lot of salespeople hear this, they think it's an objection. It's not an objection. This is the only style in DISC that when they ask for more information, it's a legitimate request. It's actually a buying signal. It's not an objection, it's a buying signal. And if you can provide them enough information, I promise you they will read it all from cover to cover. And if it satisfies their need, they'll buy immediately. But if you can't give them enough information to buy, they will never buy. So it's very important that when you work with these four styles, you understand their different fears. If you can help them overcome their different fears, then you're going to make more sales. Now, under stress, the D style becomes dictatorial and critical. They'll be very critical of you and your product and service. So if you see that, you'll understand that they're experiencing stress. The I style will be very sarcastic. They'll be very superficial. You've got to be able to identify this disengagement in selling. The S style can be submissive and indecisive. Now, from the S style, it sounds like this. Can you give me more time to think about it? I'd like to speak to my husband. I'd like to speak to my wife. I'd like to speak to my colleagues. Now, when you hear that from the S style, it means they're being indecisive, and we've got to get them back to the point of making a decision. Now, the C style, they'll become very withdrawn and they'll be headstrong. They will argue with you about the facts, and they'll often be right because they go around and they research everything. So you don't want to get into an argument with them, because often they're very well researched. So if you start to see them become headstrong or they disengage, they're under stress. And when we see that, we're going to focus on building that relationship once more. So if you understand this about your customers, you can walk into any room and you can sell to anybody that you want. And the human psychology, we step up in sales because instead of trying to use a sales tactic, we're using a sales psychology. And if we can understand why people think the way that they do, we can influence their thoughts, which will change their feelings, and they'll take action towards our product and service. Do is when you understand this, you can walk into a room. Okay, this person's a D style, and you can then have a very fast sale. Talk about results. When you see the I style person, they want recognition. You can give them compliments. You can make them feel good about themselves. If you can make them feel good about themselves, they'll buy because that's what they want. Also, the S style person, they want relationships. So what they want is they want to get to know you first. And this is where being open with them is very important. They want to know who you are. Who's Daniel? Who's Ethan? What's your life story? Where are you going? And also with the S-style person, if they sense that you only want to make a sale and the sale's more important than the relationship, they won't buy from you. But if you can show them how you can continue that relationship out into the future and how that you've got a future to get together, they'll buy. And then we have the C-style buyer. Remember, they want to be right. So when you go into a sales presentation with a C-style buyer, you got to make sure that all of your material is set up, ready to go. There should be nothing left out of the sales presentation. You should be able to ask every question because they're the people who will ask you the tough questions. They're not doing it to punish you. They're doing it because they want to buy. And if you're going to answer the tough question, they will buy immediately because they just want to get things right. They want to do it once. It's got to be 100%. And there's a lot of those people here in the Asia region world. So we're going to get it right for them. Excellent. Well, let's have a look at your disc reports. When we have a look at your disc styles, we're going to have a look at, first of all, your disc style graph. Now, there's two graphs. The graph on the left is called graph 1, and the graph on the right is called graph 2. Now, the graph on the left, we call this the mask. And what that is, it means this is the face that you show the world. And graph number 2 is the real you. Now, what you'll find sometimes is that there's a disparity or there's a difference. The graph on the left may look different from the graph on the right. And what that means is that you wear a mask to work every day. You show the world, you show your team, you show your customer a different face. And then at home, you relax, you take off the mask, and then you see the real you. So in today's training, what we want to focus on is we want to focus on the real you. So we're going to have a look at the graph on the right-hand side. Now, graph number 2 is the real you. These are your instinctive behaviors. Now, when you feel comfortable in your environment, you'll express your instinctive behaviors. Now, these instinctive behaviors also show up when you're in a stressful situation. Graph number 2, the graph on the right, is going to be consistent even in different environments. So if you have your real face on, the real you, you're going to show up the same at home as you are with your friends. And it's going to be consistent through most of your life. The only time that graph 2 changes is when there's a significant emotional event. It's when there's a major catastrophe or a major change in your life. It could be the birth of a family member. It could be the death of a family member. It could be COVID-19. It could be the loss of your income, and that could change you. So we're going to have a look at graph 2. This is the real you. So let's explore dominance. All of us have a D style. Now, D style is where we're focusing on problems and challenges. D style people tend to act very assertively. The emotions that you feel with the D style are emotions of anger and impatient. So have you ever met a customer who's very angry, very impatient? They just want to go, 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 go? This is the D style. They show the emotion of anger. They show the impatience. Now, one of the greatest fears for the D style, especially in selling, is they have a fear of being taken advantage of. They're afraid that the salesperson is going to take advantage of them. They also fear losing control. So you'll feel that when you're in a sales presentation with a D-style person, they're trying to get control. They want to ask you the questions. They try to direct the conversation. And we have to learn how to manage this person. Now, if you're a D-style person, these are the words that are going to describe you. If your D-style score is above the energy line, 50 points or above, then you could be described as daring, demanding, a risk taker. You could be described as being forceful or competitive. Now, if your score is below the energy line, 50 points or below, then you'll be described as taking calculated risk, seeking consensus, unobtrusive, agreeing, and also cautious. So, Ethan, let me know which of those words in the top box or the bottom box best describes you. Which words best describe you? When you're selling to a D-style person, if you're a D-style person, then your primary strength is you've got a very strong ego. You focus on tasks and you're outcome oriented. The goal for the D-style person is to have a lot of personal challenges. And the psychological need for the D-style person is to be in control, and they really want to be direct. Now, the dominant style also avoids losing control. They fear being taken advantage of. Because of their anger and frustration, oftentimes they come across as very impatient. And when they get angry, boom, they explode. It's like a firework. Boom, they get angry, they get frustrated, but within 5 minutes, the anger's disappeared and they've forgotten all about it. And what they really want is results. And it's very important as sales teams, we must remember that our D style wants results. So when they look at your product and service, they're thinking, how is this going to get me a result? What's my goal? How does it help me get to that goal faster? That's what they're interested in. That's their psychological want. I want results. If you can show me how your product and service gets results, I'll buy it immediately. But if I can't understand your product and service, if I can't see how it gives me better results, I don't want it. And they'll often ask you a very bold question. What's it going to do for me? What results will I see? And if you can answer that question, they buy. They don't need to listen to your entire sales presentation. They will buy immediately. They are the fastest buyers on the planet. They buy it now. So that's our D-style people. So there's a series of D-style words. Nini, let me just check in with you. Okay, we've got Ethan's report there. Good. It's neither bad. All that matters is, are you getting results? So that's our D-style. The second style we're going to have a look at is the I style, and I stands for influence. The I style focuses on people and contacts, and I think we could all agree that in this business, we are selling to people. We want people to buy from us. We want people to refer their friends and family to us. And all of us are going to focus on people and contacts differently. Now, the high I style tends to act very persuasively. They're great persuaders. They're great influencers. The emotion that comes along with the I style is the emotion of optimism, the emotion of trust. They're very optimistic. They trust people really quickly. The I style also has fears. They fear being left out. They fear losing social approval. Now, if you're a high I style, if your I style score is above 50 points, then you could be described as enthusiastic, charming, influential, confident, generous. If your I style score is below 50, you can be described as controlled, rational, factual, pessimistic, or even suspicious of people. So do any of these words describe you? Ethan, go to the chat box, or you can even turn on the microphone and let me know. Do any of these words describe how you approach people and contacts? Enthusiastic, charming, influential, confident, generous, or controlled, rational, factual, pessimistic, or suspicious? This is what the team's missing, and it's really what it needs on it to grow as well. The I style, their primary strength is they're enthusiastic and they're people-oriented. They get along with people. Everybody feels fantastic around the I style. Their goal is to be liked and accepted by others. Their psychological need is they want to have contact and they want to interact with others. As salespeople, they love getting on the telephone. As salespeople, they love going out and speaking to people. Their fear is social rejection or ridicule. If they're too obsessed with getting recognition, they can become very impulsive. The emotion they bring to the team is optimism. So whenever we go into a decline, whenever performance is going down, these are the cheerleaders. These are the people who get everybody excited. They're the ones who get everybody rallying around and you have a lot of fun at your team events. That's the I-style person. And what they want from you as a leader is they want recognition and feedback. So let me check in with you, is that the other team members, they could be great at what they do, but if they lack that I style, your team will find it very hard to sell to that I style person because that person wants to have a lot of fun. They want to laugh in sales. So it's important to balance that one out. So let's have a look at, well, we know there's no I style on the team. So let's have a look at S style. S stands for steadiness. The focus here on the S style, which is 38% of your team, is on pace and consistency. Now, they tend to act very patiently. S style people, they feel emotions, but they don't express the emotion. And their greatest fear is a sudden change or a loss of their stability and security. So when their stability, when their security is threatened, when that paycheck starts to drop, when the sales start to drop, they start to panic. Now, with the S style, they're a very slow moving group of people. So they need to have a lot more motivation. They need to have more speed. Now, there's some words that can describe the high S style. The high S style is very calm. They're a team player. They're consistent. They show up day after day, week after week. Even if they don't like their job, they'll still keep showing up. They're composed and they're steady. Now, for a low S style person, they're flexible, they're energetic, they're fidgety, they're active, they're spontaneous. They move at a really fast pace. So when you look at these descriptive words, do any of these words describe you, Ethan? High S or low S? What words would describe you? Is there a team player? Now, what makes them excellent salespeople is they have a drive for closure. What that means is once they start the sales cycle, they'll often see it through to the end. We actually say that the S style is the natural salesperson. And the reason why they're a natural salesperson is because they drive for closure. They keep going until they get that final yes or the final no. Now, their personal goal is to maintain the status quo. So this can be a little bit of a conflict for them in selling. They don't necessarily want to make $1 million. What they want is they want stability. They want to be able to produce a consistent paycheck month in, month out. Quarter in, quarter out, year in, year out. They want stability. That's more important to them. What makes them a great salesperson is they have a psychological need to accommodate others and to support people. And this is why we say they're one of the best salespeople, because they put the relationship first. They're so focused on the relationship that the customer says, yes, I trust you. Yes, you've supported me. Yes, I believe in you. Now I want to buy your product and service. The fear that they have to learn to manage is the fear of losing their stability. And oftentimes they're very stubborn. Now, as salespeople, they're stubborn. They don't want to try something new. They don't want to try a new product. They don't want to try a new service. They don't want to do a new follow-up system. They don't want any new technology because they become stubborn. They say, well, can't we just do it how we used to do it? Can't we do it how we did it before COVID? Can't we do it how we did it back in the 2000s? They're very stubborn when it comes to change. So if you introduce a new product or a new service, it takes them a long time to adapt. Takes them a long time to adapt because they don't like new things. They want things to be consistent with the past. Now, one of their weaknesses is that they find it very hard to show emotion. They're often very poker-faced. They can be angry and you wouldn't know. They could be happy and you wouldn't know. They could be depressed and you wouldn't know. They don't show a lot of emotion. And this is something that they need to work on in order to improve their sales results. And you can see it here. What do they want more than anything else? They want relationships. And this is why we say they are some of the best salespeople, because they put the relationship first. They do right by the customer. They get the relationship. Then the reward is the sale. So they are the natural salesperson. And what's really funny is most of them don't feel like they're a salesperson. And that's what makes them successful, because they don't come across salesy.